Thanks for joining us for the Long Island Sound podcast. Each week we explore new music and dive deeper with the artists and their stories behind the music. Please subscribe and rate and review us wherever you stream this podcast. Here's your host, Steve Yusko.
I've got a great episode for you today. Pete Mancini joins me for a quickie episode to talk about everything he's been doing. He's been playing all over the place. He'll be at my father's place on Cinco de Mayo. He's also playing at Mayfest. But most importantly, he's got a new EP out called the Commonwealth Sessions Volume 1. We get into that. We get into his music, what he's been doing, he's been connecting with. You're going to really enjoy it. Hey, let's listen to his latest song, an exclusive called Golden Hour.
Got the sports car with vanity plates, a heart of glass like a porcelain doll. All your mirrors look both ways, like a needle needs a vein, and a pill needs a pain. Take a hit of admiration. How could anyone be so vain? You look so good at golden hour. Savor the scene for it all turns sour. Sell the world your carefree vibes. Cover the bruises that you want to hide. Horoscope was second rate. Can't stand to sit through another first date. Rush to push your magic button. Let the stars choose your fate. You look so good at golden hour. Savor the scene for it all turns sour. Sell the world your carefree vibes. Cover the bruises that you want to hide. That you want to hide. Like a needle needs a vein, and a pill needs the pain. All strung out on admiration, now it just don't feel the same. You look so good at golden hour. Savor the scene for it all turns sour. Sell the world your carefree vibes. Cover the bruises that you want to hide. Yeah, we all look good at golden hour. Savor the scene for it all turns sour. Sell the world your carefree vibes. Cover the bruises that you want to hide.
Hey everybody, Steve Yusko here with a really special episode. I'm so excited to have my guest today. One, because he came back a second time. He's got a new EP out. But more importantly, I got to see him live on stage for the very first time for me at a WUSB 45th anniversary concert. And then he was so gracious to play at one of our Long Island Sound showcases at Fire Island Vines. And I'm so happy to welcome Pete Mancini back to the Long Island Sound. So good to see you, Pete. Thanks for coming on with us.
Hey, it's good to be back. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
I tell you what's really great and what's funny is like when you're online, whether it's Instagram or anything else, you have been popping up everywhere. I'm so happy for you. I saw that you were up in Massachusetts. You've got this new EP coming out on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. You're going to be at my father's place, but let's talk about the production of this EP, and I'm going to touch on some of the other things you've been doing as well. So tell me how that came about, and the title of it, of course.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So the new EP is called the Commonwealth Sessions, Volume 1. And I had a goal of hitting 30 songs for my next record. And I hit that goal. And the next album is written and it's ready to go. I just have to record it. But I
That's
had some
great.
songs left over that I really loved and wanted to release. So I cut them at home at my home studio, which is Commonwealth Studios, the Commonwealth Sessions. And they
Gotcha.
took on a life of their own. Had Joe Leone do some drums on them. Delaney Hafner of the Bell Curves sang on a few.
Oh, sure.
And my buddy Nick Masidi, he mixed and mastered it and came out great. So I'm happy to get it out finally. And yeah, I love putting out new stuff.
Nice.
And
So if you're listening to this, whether it is on May 5th, it's coming out on May 5th, correct?
correct.
And where can our audience get to hear your EP?
Well, the full EP is available on Bandcamp. So if you go to petemancini.bandcamp.com, you could get that and all the other albums I've released. Everything's on there. So
Great. Now, how many songs do you have on this particular EP?
5 new ones. And I plan on doing
nice.
a couple of other volumes, little 5-song releases here and there. So I'm definitely doing 2, maybe 3. We'll see.
Excellent, excellent. I tell you, I'm going to do a little plug for myself. I was so lucky to interview Bill Herman from Paradiddle Records, and Bill sent me a slew of records, and we were promoting, which is coming out in May if it's not out already. The Hank Williams CD,
Yes.
which is called Hank Williams Uncovered. There, I get a good view on that. And to my surprise, right out of the gate, there's Pete Mancini on the first track.
Yeah. Yeah, doing a little Lovesick Blues.
Lovesick Blues. And I think you played that at Fire Island Vines too, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
And
that was a fun show.
I tell you, one of the things we do here at the podcast, or what kind of drove me to start the Long Island Sound, was to get to know the artists behind the music. And, I'll preach the gospel of seeing somebody live all day long. Because even Pete, honestly, interviewing you the first time, I got a glimpse of who you are. I loved your music right off the bat. But then when I saw you live, I saw a different part of your personality. And I'm like, you know what? We got to promote live original music here on Long Island. Because you were, I tell you, even my wife said, hey, wow, that guy's really got it going. So it was so enjoyable to have you at Fire Island Vines, and your banter with the audience was just perfect,
Yeah, it was a great day, great crowd, and nothing beats that conversation between, artist and the crowd. I think I heard Livingston Taylor, he called it a conversation, so I view it as that. Now when I'm playing shows, I try to connect and try to tell some stories and have some laughs and have fun.
Yeah, that's not easy to do. And as an audience member and a music lover myself, what I see it as is really the artist inviting you into their room, so to speak, and it creates this communal atmosphere, which I think we're all, yearning for, especially after quarantine, to have that camaraderie and sense of community. And that's what we're trying to build here at the podcast. But you seem to be a pretty busy guy. Tell me about your trip up to Boston but tell me about that trip, how that came about, and what happened up in Boston.
Well, so I work as an assistant to Jimmy Webb, who is a songwriting legend, and he lives right here on Long Island, which a lot of people are surprised by when I tell them that, but he lives in Bayville. And yeah, I've been working for him for the better part of over a year, I think. And I'm his assistant, and he took a liking to my music, and I've had the privilege and honor of opening up a few shows for him. So when we went to Boston, we did 2 shows. We did City Winery Boston, and then we did the Narrows Center in Fall River, and both were just great shows. And any chance I get to play for Jimmy's crowd, it's an honor. So we had a great time, and yeah, hope to do more. I'm going to be working some shows with him coming up, just doing merch, and I'm just honored to be on the
Talk
team.
about it. How did you get on the team with Jimmy Webb? How did that come about?
Well, my buddy Norm Pruslin, who is the kind of
Sure.
spiritual head honcho over at WUSB in Stony Brook, we've been friends for a long time, and he's been helping me out for years. And Jimmy's wife, Laura Savini, was looking for someone to help out with some tech projects and pick up some different work. And Norm suggested me, and luckily me and Jimmy hit it off right away. So it's been great getting to know him and getting to know his music and just learning as much as I can from him. And I was just over there today and going back tomorrow. So it's always a good time.
Nice. I would assume as a young artist, it's almost like a mentorship when you're watching him do his thing and how he handles himself and stuff like that. So I'm sure you've picked up a lot, through that relationship. And then I'm going to ask you to coerce him to be on the Long Island Sound podcast because that's what I do. I'm in sales. So
well, when we get a Long Island show on the books, yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah. Yeah. So you also have May Day coming up. So tell me about that. That looked really exciting to me.
So May Day it's an awesome festival, May Day Music Festival on May 13th. Headliners include Blues Traveler, The Wallflowers, Wheatus, John Hampton of 9 Days, and my band, Pete Mancini and the Hillside Airmen, are playing the main stage at 4:30. So a lot of great bands on the day. The Bell Curves, Quarter Horse, MJT, Dirty Vice Band. So it's a whole day of music. It goes from 1 till 11, and it supports labor unions. It's a family-friendly event, charity, and so it's a great lineup for a good cause, and I'm proud to be a part of this event. So I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
That's great. So personally, I'm a pro labor guy. I was a union, believe it or not, I was a union steam fitter for a while.
Nice.
So many aspects of union life and drama that goes along with it. But it really comes down to, protecting the worker, getting trained workers out there that do a good job, that have a skill, that do things safely, and keep everybody in check. And the sad part is unions are getting a little weaker here in New York, at least in the construction trades.
Mm-hmm.
But having been in a union is so different, at least from my perspective of being outside the union and understand why they were created. So it's nice to hear that May Day is tied into supporting labor because we all labor, right? So,
yeah,
to say the least. Hey, let's do this. Pete, I just want to take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to talk about the song our audience heard on the way in before our introduction. So hang with us, everybody. We'll be right back with Pete Mancini. At the Long Island Sound, we're much more than a podcast. We're building a community. Please go to gigdestiny.com. Check out all our social media links. Subscribe wherever you listen to the podcast. Please comment. Call the listener line. Tell us what you think, what questions we should ask, who we should have on the show. And most of all, we thank you for your generous support. And remember, support the artists who are guests on the show. Now back to the podcast. Hey, we're back, everybody, after that short break with Pete Mancini. We've got lots to talk about, but little time. Tell me about Golden Hour, the song our audience got to hear, which is on your EP. Just how did that come about? I'm really curious about that.
So Golden Hour, I had this chorus in my head. I was listening to a lot of Lou Reed at the time, a lot of Tom Petty. And I had this chorus kicking around, and eventually the verses came. And, I had this really catchy song that just didn't fit the sequence of my next record. So it's part of that writing group of songs I mentioned before. And I just didn't want to get rid of it. And I recorded an acoustic version, and I sent it to my buddy Nick, who mixed the EP, and he said, this is a great song, man. You got to get some drums on there. You got to do a full band arrangement. So I'm glad we did. I'm really happy how it came out. And, I think it's, took on a life of its own.
It's interesting, the fact that you've done an EP, but you also have done an album. And I think the art of putting an album together and see what songs fit to kind of keep the conversation or the story that you put together is another art in and of itself. And I'm glad because, back in the day, all we had were albums or 45s with 2 songs on it that were more promotional.
Hmm.
So I'm glad you're coming out with an album. But one thing I forgot to mention, I saw that you were doing a songwriters round with Matt Marshak, who is a friend of
Yes.
my wife's. Worked with Matt's wife, and that's how I got Matt. Matt was one of my first interviews. He was so generous to come on the program, and what a nice guy. So tell me about that. It was out east, right? You did a songwriting round.
Yeah,
It was on stage. So fill me in.
it's this new thing called the East End Writers Round, and Matt asked me to be a part of it, and I got to share the stage with him and the songwriter Cameron Quinlan, and we had a great night. I love playing in the
Hmm.
round because playing solo could get a little lonely sometimes, and it's nice to be up there with some people, sharing some stories, sharing some songs. It's got a communal feel to it, so that's always fun. That's how they do it down in Nashville, so I'm happy to see it spreading.
Nice. That's excellent. I tell you, in talking to Matt, I was a little starstruck because he's known as an international jazz guitarist. So I was really kind of taken aback that he would be on this lowly Long Island Sound podcast. But that just to give it a little tie-in in meeting you and Delaney Hafner was on the program of the Bell Curves. There's a thread of wellspring talent that goes through Long Island. And what I found about the music community here on Long Island is uh, they're very generous with each other. You guys help each other out, which is so good to see. I'm sure there's the occasional diva out there, but my experience has been, hey, yeah, come and do it. Yeah, I got an opportunity for you. Has that been your experience, Pete?
Yeah, I've met a ton of great people playing music over the years, and I have some found family out on Long Island, and that's where I met Travis, who I co-wrote
Right.
a lot of
Mm.
songs with and made so many friends musically and otherwise, and yeah, it just means a lot to meet a lot of great people. It's kind of one of the fringe benefits of playing music, but we don't make a ton of money all the time, but we're rich in connections, and I'm
Absolutely.
grateful for that.
So you do have a gig coming up. I think it was like a last minute gig for you at My Father's Place, which is Epi Epstein's regurgitated My Father's Place. Now at what's the name of the place in Glen Cove? The
The
Metropolitan.
Metropolitan, yeah,
Right. So you're playing with Rhett Miller. So tell me about that. That's coming up this Friday, I think at 8 o'clock, right?
yeah. That is a kind of a last minute gig, but I'm really excited because I'm a big Rhett Miller fan. His band
Nice.
Old 97s, just a great all country band. And then his solo work I'm a big fan of as well. So I can't wait. He's one of
Right.
the hardest working songwriters in the biz. So I'm
Nice.
excited to be doing a
Have you
gig with
met
him.
him before? Have you met him before? Or will this be the first time that you're going to meet?
Yeah, but I met him before, long time ago though. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it's going to be cool to share the
To
stage
catch
with him.
to catch up. Well,
Yeah.
I tell you, Pete, I know this was a last minute thing for us. I really, once I saw it on Instagram, you made this little announcement that you're putting an EP out this Friday. I said, damn, this is a great opportunity to just do a quick episode of the Long Island podcast to get the word out about Pete Mancini. And I'm going to give a testimony to those out there. Go see Pete live. I don't care where he's playing. It's May Day at My Father's Place on Friday. Follow Pete Mancini. You're going to have a great time. And you're a great guy, Pete. I really appreciate the art and the music you bring to the world.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for having me. Always great catching up.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon. Be well, everybody.
Yep. Take care.
Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate the time you spent with us. Please subscribe and comment and visit us at gigdestiny.com. Till next time, be generous with your joy, keep your spirits high, and let the music take you on a journey. Be well. Peace.